Welcome to Venom Recaps. Let's dive into the story. The story begins in a prison in the city of Zolo. Our hero, Zuo Fan, is talking to his imprisoned father. Zuo Fan asked his father to tell him what really happened when there was an invasion of monsters in the city of Sierra, which destroyed the said city. He said he wanted to know the whole truth so that he could clear his father's name. 8 years have passed since the monster wave outbreak in the city of Sierra, which became the greatest tragedy in the human history. According to the investigation, only Zuo Fan's father, Zuo, was the sole survivor of this tragedy. They called him the son of a traitor. They informed him that every time he visited, he now had to pay 3 times more than what he used to pay. Zuo Fan wondered why it had been raised 3 times. He asked for the reason. A man answered, saying it was a decision from their superiors. They were even kind enough to let Zuo Fan visit, despite being the son of a traitor to their country. Zuo Fan was silent when he heard this. How could it happen that his father, who always valued life and helped people with a sincere heart, would be accused of being a traitor? Zuo Fan felt angry too, but he stopped himself. Zuo was said to have left Sierra City during the monster invasion. Because unauthorized desertion of duty is a crime, Zuo was recognized as a traitor and condemned to death. In consideration of Zuo's merits and the good deeds he had done before, they gave him 10 years in prison before executing him. Zuo Fan had been around for almost 8 years, but being recognized as the son of a traitor led to his expulsion from the school he attended. No one accepted him whenever he applied for a job. Even donating blood was rejected by hospitals because being a traitor was said to be in his blood. Zuo Fan managed to endure such a situation because there was still hope that he would clear his father's name. Zuo responded to his son, saying he wouldn't say anything about what happened then, and he accepted the sentence given to him. Zuo Fan also advised him to leave the city and change his name so that he could live well. Zoe also suggested that Zuo Fan should just think about not having a father like him. Life was said to not be easy as the son of a traitor in one's own town. Zuo Fan hit the table and said he didn't really listen to what others said. As Zuo's son, he knew better what kind of person his father was. After talking to his father, Zuo Fan left the precinct. As Zuo Fan left, he told his father he would get him released. Walking away, Zuo Fan couldn't help but dwell on the sudden increase in his pay whenever he visited. Money had always been tight, but now his payment had tripled. His only source of income was working as a Starfall warrior reserve for the mercenary guild. Every citizen wore a special watch that displayed their core attributes. To be a full-fledged Starfall warrior, one needed at least 10 points in each stat category. Zuo Fan only reached 10 points in his mental and agility stats, making him slightly faster in terms of movement and reflexes compared to a normal person. Unfortunately, his physical development had plateaued nearly half a year ago, leaving his strength stat stagnant. Zuo Fan grappled with how to make more money. He muttered to himself that his earnings as a Starfall warrior reserve were barely enough, especially after daily expenses. He clenched the necklace he wore, the only possession he believed held significant value. It was supposedly a gift from his mother for his birthday, crafted from fragments of a fallen meteor, hence its supposed worth. He contemplated selling it, then quickly slapped himself back to his senses. What am I thinking? He scolded himself. He decided to seek higher-paying missions at the Mercenary Guild. Zuo Fan entered the Mercenary Hall in Zolo City, and the instant mockery from the occupants was unmistakable. 3 years as a Starfall warrior reserve, and he was still considered the weakest amongst them. He ignored their taunts, pressing on towards his destination. He opened the door of a room, revealing a bald old man, Uncle Fatty, though not a blood relative. Zuo Fan greeted him with a smile, requesting an E-rank mission suited for his abilities. Uncle Fatty chuckled. Those have already been assigned, Zuo Fan. You'll get a call when something comes up. Zuo Fan jokingly countered that he was aiming for expulsion from the guild. Uncle Fatty, lighting a cigar, scoffed. That's suicidal, even for an E-ranked monster fortress. You'd need to be a full Starfall warrior to survive even an F-ranked one. You're lucky to be alive after those F-rank missions. He reminded Zuo Fan of his limitations as a reserve, emphasizing his lack of capability against higher-ranked monsters. Zuo Fan acknowledged this but insisted he had no other choice. Uncle Fatty, taken aback, listened to his explanation. After hearing Zuo Fan's reason, Uncle Fatty stepped out. Holding an E-rank commission post, they said, looking for a scout, and they'll pay a lot. Uncle Gauze reminded Zuo Fan that this mission was said to be difficult because it involved clearing out E-rank monsters. Zuo Fan couldn't believe it after reading the mission details and the amount they would pay. He was promised $3,000 for playing the role of a scout within the mission. Zuo Fan approached Uncle Gauze and thanked him profusely. Uncle Gauze, with a stern look, warned Zuo Fan that he would be accompanied by no ordinary group, so he should always be alert. That evening, Zuo Fan headed to the location where they would meet his friends. He made sure that the items and weapons needed for the mission were ready and in order. The mission was also clear. It involved dealing with E-rank monsters, often referred to as absolute starfalls. The members of the party ranged from novice to intermediate rank warriors. Zuo Fan thought he needed to do his job well as a scout to earn his pay. When Zuo Fan saw the companions who would be with him, he thought that this time he might be in luck. The girl with pink hair noticed Zuo Fan's arrival and assumed he was the person recommended by Uncle Gauze. All those who would be with him on the mission walked towards him, led by the girl with pink hair who introduced herself as Moyini, the leader of their party. Zuo Fan was stunned by Moyini's beauty and the impressive weapons and equipment she was wearing. Moyini was an intermediate-rank Starfall warrior, and her attire was adorned with expensive items made from monster cores. Zuo Fan was even more amazed when he realized that the monster core was the source of Moyini's equipment. The girl carried a sword made from a monster core, a rare and valuable item obtained only from certain monsters. Starfall equipment, crafted using monster cores, greatly increased the power of the warrior using it. Zuo Fan couldn't believe that someone almost the same age as him possessed such strength. Intermediate-rank Starfall warriors under 20 years old were considered geniuses, and Zuo Fan realized that Moyini's power far exceeded his own. He said he didn't know how long it would take him to reach Moyini's level. Zuo Fan approached the girl and said he was the mercenary recommended by Uncle Gauze. Our hero extended his hand and introduced himself as Zuo Fan. When Zuo Fan mentioned his name, he hoped she wouldn't notice his last name, as it might still cause a problem. Moyini accepted Zuo Fan's extended hand during his introduction, but they were both surprised when they were suddenly interrupted by an arrogant man who shook hands with Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan and Moyini were both taken aback by his interruption. The proud man stated that he was the bait recommended by the mercenary guild. Zuo Fan became serious because he didn't like being referred to as bait. The proud man didn't immediately let go and tightened his grip on Zuo Fan's hand. His stats were much higher, causing Zuo Fan to sweat from the pain of the grip. The arrogant man continued squeezing Zuo Fan's hand until one of their group members intervened. It was Muse who spoke up, calling the arrogant man Mose, stating that he should be ashamed of his bullying behavior, especially in a group of Starfall warrior reserves. Mose finally let go of Zuo Fan's hand, laughing and reassuring them that he was just joking. However, Zuo Fan knew it wasn't just a joke, feeling like his hand was being crushed. Mose suddenly threw a paper in Zuo Fan's direction, instructing him to read the content of the contract and sign it if there were no questions. Zuo Fan didn't expect the sudden casting of Mose's role, which almost hit his eye. Despite Mose's quick and sudden action, Zuo Fan managed to catch the paper. Zuo Fan's party members were surprised by his reaction. Mose thought Zuo Fan's reaction speed was fast, and Moyini noticed his alertness, thinking that Zuo Fan would be suitable as their scout for the mission. Even the man with the big shield considered Zuo Fan's reaction. Zuo Fan's hand shook as he realized he was almost there. This is how strong the novice-rank Starfall warrior is, being able to develop such skills over a weekend, like temporarily hardening something using their power. After witnessing Zuo Fan's reaction speed, Moyini stated that he deserved to be their scout, affirming that Uncle Ga had not made a wrong choice. Moyini then turned to the man with the big shield, referring to him as Uncle, indicating that he should explain to Zuo Fan. Uncle explained that according to hunting regulations, a Starfall warrior is not allowed to join a reserve on E-rank monster hunting missions, which is why they brought a contract specifically for Zuo Fan, and if there were no issues with it, he was expected to sign it. Zuo Fan observed their group, noting there were 6 other members besides him. Among them was Moron novice rank Starfall warrior, and they were all wearing proper equipment. Out of the 6, 2 were intermediate rank Starfall warriors, each equipped with Starfall equipment. Zuo Fan thought that with such a team, it would be easy for them to exterminate all the E-rank monsters on their mission. Zuo Fan felt very happy as he looked at the promised reward of $3,000 for the mission they were about to undertake. It seemed like his companions would carry him through, and he would earn a substantial amount of money. As reminded by Uncle, everyone could see that their equipment was in good order after their preparations. The group began walking towards the E-rank monster den area, where various monsters lived. This area had been attacked by different kinds of monsters during a great change in the world. It was strictly forbidden for ordinary people to venture into such places, as their usual weapons were ineffective against mutated monsters. Even ordinary monsters could absorb bullets and toxins to become stronger. However, people had found ways to fight them by using materials from slain monsters to craft weapons capable of harming and killing other monsters. This shift led to the replacement of modern firearms with ancient weapons like shields and swords. The high prices of monster parts had become symbols of wealth and the strength of high-level Starfall warriors. Zuo Fan's party headed toward City X, which used to be populated but was now overrun by monsters and considered a dangerous territory. Zuo Fan hid behind a wall, surveying the area. He spotted a drooling monster resembling a mutated amphibian, which he suspected was the source of the strange sounds they had heard before. These monsters were I-rank fish lizards, mutated creatures with thick, hard scales and sharp fangs capable of penetrating steel. As Zuo Fan prepared to attack the fish lizard with his bow, he aimed carefully at its head, intending to hit its eye, a known weak spot. However, when the arrow struck, it simply bounced off due to the creature's thick and hardened skin. Enraged by the attack, the fish lizard turned toward Zuo Fan, emitting a loud cry. The screams of the fish lizard attracted numerous other monsters, prompting them to attack one after the other, all heading in Zuo Fan's direction. Zuo Fan quickly fled, realizing he had successfully drawn the attention of many monsters. As Zuo Fan continued to be pursued by a horde of fish lizards, he grew increasingly concerned, as they were much faster than the information provided in their intel had suggested. Despite this, Zuo Fan persisted in his chase until he reached the interior of a building. While on the run, Zuo Fan recalled the characteristics of fish lizards, their tough scales covering their bodies, razor-sharp fangs capable of piercing iron, long nails, and amphibious nature. Being unfamiliar with the territory and facing such formidable opponents, Zuo Fan knew his chances of survival were slim. Suddenly, a fish lizard attacked Zuo Fan with its extendable tongue, but he managed to dodge the assault. Zuo Fan realized that these monsters could weaponize their tongues, and he focused on seeking the right opportunity to strike at their weaknesses. When another fish lizard attacked, Zuo Fan seized the moment and aimed at its eyes and long tongue with his bow, as per their intel. He felt a sense of satisfaction as his arrows struck true, embedding deep into the monster's tongue. Seeing how easily he could exploit the weaknesses of the fish lizard despite his status as a Starfall warrior reserve, Zuo Fan gained confidence. However, his elation was short-lived as the enraged fish lizard charged at him again. Zuo Fan narrowly avoided its attack, impressed by the creature's sheer strength and speed. Zuo Fan raced towards an exit, hoping to escape, but a fish lizard leaped high into the air, aiming to catch him before he could flee. Zuo Fan managed to escape before being hit by another fish lizard attack, feeling fortunate to have survived. He realized that his usual tactics of luring monsters were insufficient for dealing with the fish lizards, He needed more effective weaponry, perhaps arrows made from high-rank monster parts, which could potentially enable him to take down lower-level monsters alone. However, the cost of such arrows made him hesitant to purchase them. As Zofan found another hole to slip through, with numerous monsters still in pursuit, he heard screams coming from inside a wall, indicating the presence of fish lizards. His 6 colleagues awaited him on the mission, and upon his arrival, the man known as Uncle immediately directed everyone to prepare for battle against the incoming fish lizards. Uncle, whose real name was revealed to be Mojin Ho, a 35-year-old intermediate-rank Starfall warrior, swiftly used his large shield to block the first attacking fish lizard. Moyini, also an intermediate-rank Starfall warrior at just 18 years old, dispatched another fish lizard with ease using his Starfall equipment. The remaining novices, including the arrogant Muse, joined the fray, engaging the fish lizards in battle. Zofan observed how the party worked together seamlessly to combat the high-rank monsters, making his task easier for the day. The battle raged on, with Zofan and his comrades fighting valiantly until Moyini dealt the final blow to the last remaining fish lizard. However, to their surprise, the supposedly defeated monster still posed a threat, prompting Muse to warn them of the counterattack typically launched by near-death high-rank monsters. As the party regrouped, Mose cautioned them to keep their distance from the seemingly incapacitated monster. Suddenly, Mose pushed Zofan forward, using him as a shield against the charging beast. Despite Mose's arrogant demeanor, Zofan's usefulness to the group became apparent in that moment. With the monster's mouth perilously close to Zofan's face, he reacted instinctively by stomping his foot hard, causing the creature to recoil. Seizing the opportunity, Zofan readied his other weapon, a small arrow, and aimed it at the monster's eye. The shot found its mark, blinding the beast and causing it to scream in agony. Taking advantage of the distraction, Moyini swiftly approached, ready to deliver the final blow with his sword. As Moyini struck the final blow to the fish lizard, Zofan instinctively covered his arm to avoid being splattered with the creature's blood. He was startled by a notification indicating that he had successfully killed an high-rank monster for the first time, activating his system. Curious and somewhat bewildered, Zofan grabbed the necklace his mother had given him, wondering if the sound he heard was merely his imagination. Moyini instructed Mose to remove the monster's bodies to check for monster cores, calming him down from his earlier agitation. Mose complied with Moyini's orders, though Muse seemed nervous, his eyes betraying a hint of anger towards Zofan. As night fell, the group lit a fire at their resting place. Moyini approached Zofan and offered him a modern potion to replenish his strength quickly, praising him as a valuable scout for their team. Zofan thanked Moyini for the potion and the praise, realizing that Moyini's words were genuine and not a jest, unlike Mose's behavior. Meanwhile, Mose, annoyed by the interaction between Zofan and Moyini, cleaned the monster corpses nearby. He then called Zofan over, acknowledging his usefulness as bait and a shield due to his ability to attract monsters. However, Mose lamented Zofan's inability to become an intermediate-rank Starfall warrior due to his physical weakness, emphasizing the importance of Zofan's role in supporting and protecting others. Moyini disagreed with Mose's assessment and intervened, prompting laughter from their colleagues. Mohan Ho, with a smile, advised Zofan not to take Mose's words too seriously, explaining that Mose had a tendency to joke around. Reflecting on Mohan Ho's words, Zofan realized that despite Mose's antics, Mohan Ho seemed like a genuinely good person. He understood Mose's intentions when he had pushed him into the monster's mouth earlier, an act meant to test his ability to handle pressure as a Starfall warrior reserve. As Zofan continued to walk and observe their surroundings, one of his friends joined him. Zofan explained that their presence in the city of Zuo and their mission to hunt E-rank monsters were part of Moyini's family trial, emphasizing the dangerous nature of their task given his current strength level. Zofan's reason for being in that location was to participate in a mission to hunt E-rank monsters as part of a group from the city of Zuo. However, suddenly he stopped talking. Both Zofan and Moyini were taken by surprise when the ground beneath them abruptly split open. They felt nervous about what would happen next. As a hole formed in the Earth's surface, Zofan and Moyani fell into it together. Zofan desperately tried to find something to grab onto but found nothing within reach. Meanwhile, a man appeared at the edge of the hole where they had fallen. It became apparent to them that what had happened was not an accident, it was planned by someone. Moyani fell into an underground tunnel. Even though the two were so high, they were able to survive because they were much stronger than a normal person. Zofan put on her night vision goggles so he could see clearly in the dark underground tunnel. While looking at the stone blocking their way, Zofan wondered if they really just looked at them. It is even said that the ground suddenly collapses where they stand arriving behind him. Moyani was also just returning to observe it in another part of the underground tunnel. After Moyani arrived, he asked if Zofan had finished investigating. It was also asked if the ground just collapsed there. Zofan replied that it collapsed based on his observation. Maybe today the ground they stepped on was just soft. While holding onto the blocking large rocks, Zofan calculated that the depth they stepped on was 20 meters. He told Moyani that it looks like they won't be able to pass because of the amount and size of the stones blocking them, that they will have to find another subway exit to get out of there. Moyani was asked if Zofan knew of another way out. Zofan boasted that he knew where the other subways and exits were. He said he prepared well before joining the mission. He said it was also a self-training scout like him. Zofan pointed in a direction and told Moyani that if they followed that road they would reach the exit. That is if no one else blocks their path. The two walked together along the path Zofan pointed out. As they walked, Zofan said little by little, it was getting brighter there. It looked like they were going in the right direction. Zofan turned behind him and observed his companion, Moyani. Stupid intermediate rank Starfall warriors are said to have the ability to see in the dark no different than they see in the morning. It is said that his vision is even clearer than his even though he uses night vision goggles. The two continued walking until Moyani suddenly stopped. Zofan removed his night vision goggles and asked what the problem was. Moyani held his sword in preparation. Moyani told Zofan that he felt something moving. It is said to be an ear-rank monster and it is not alone. Zofan wondered why he couldn't hear any sound. Moyani replied that he shouldn't be surprised if he didn't hear anything. He said they were the same because it was his sword that told him that information. As Zofan looked at the strange light on Moyani's sword, he thought it might be the sword sense. Starfall warriors who have sword sense have the ability to quickly master different types of sword-type weapons, and they can also rely on their weapons to sense the presence of monsters. This ability is also classified as a high-level ability. Moyani shouted that monsters are coming as he felt his sword. They both grabbed their weapons in preparation for their upcoming battle. In the dark part of the tunnel can be seen red eyes of many monsters. Lizards rushed towards Moyani and Zofan one after the other. As the lizards approached them, the two thought that these monsters had too many days. Moyani readied his sword and told Zofan to retreat. Moyani quickly killed fish lizards that were closest to him. With his beautiful sword, he quickly cuts the bodies of monsters. While Moyani was fighting, Zofan also pulled out his dagger and said that he could help. Screamed. Moyani said that it stopped. He said that with Zofan's strength it would only be a burden. Zofan trembled when he heard from Moyani. He knew that she was just worried about him, but he couldn't stop feeling that way. A large number of fish lizards rushed almost at the same time. As they approached, Moyani activated a skill called Sword Sense Immersion. Monsters that approached died one after another. After they were hit by the sword that Moyani was using, it was just like paper that crumbled into pieces, the hardened bodies of the fish lizards. While watching Moyani's battle, Zofan thought that this was his true strength and normal today. As far as he knows, E-rank monsters are equal to the strength of intermediate-rank Starfall warriors. According to Zofan's normal learning, F-rank monsters are as strong as a Nova Starfall warrior. E-rank monsters are as strong as an intermediate Starfall warrior. The D-rank monster is as strong as the advanced Starfall warrior, and the C-rank monster is as strong as the novice Starfall general. That's the comparison he knows when talking about one-on-one. As you can see that Moyani has fought against many, he can say that the power he possesses can be compared to the strength of an advanced rank Starfall warrior. After Moyani cut off a fish lizard's head, it suddenly activated its last attack, which only works when it runs out of breath. When the monster attacked the place where Zofan was standing, Zuo Fan saw the monster approaching him quickly, so he used his left arm as a shield against the fish lizard's bite. While it was biting him, he immediately stabbed it with the dagger he was holding. He did this until the monster that bit him died. With the wounds suffered by Zuo Fan, he thought that a Starfall warrior reserved like him would be very shy. With an ear-rank monster then, Zuo Fan was surprised to hear a notification again that he had killed another ear-rank monster. It is said that the adaptation speed of his system will be increased. He wondered why he heard the sound? When the sound he heard disappeared, he didn't pay attention to it because he was going to prioritize what was in front of him. Blood continued to drip from the sword used by Moini. He told Zuo Fan that they had run out of monsters that rushed them. It's also nice that they go outside. Zuo Fan just swallowed when he witnessed Moini's strength killing so many monsters. The two stopped walking when they saw that the road they were going to pass was also blocked. Zuo Fan was amazed at what he saw. He said it looks like someone is blocking it from the outside. Zuo Fan was surprised to suddenly have a sword around his neck. Even though he was he asked Moini what he was doing. Moini replied that he should be the one to ask Zuo Fan. With Zuo Fan's fear of the sword at his neck, he swallowed again. He asked Moini again what was the meaning of what he was doing. Zuo Fan told Moini that it was because they couldn't get out of the underground tunnel that he was venting his anger. Moini carefully observed Zuo Fan in front of him. Zuo Fan was confused as to what this woman was thinking. Moini lowered his sword and said that he was only testing Zuo Fan. It's too much if what happens to them is just a coincidence. After hearing Moini's explanation, Zuo Fan also doubted. He thought that landslides and blocked exits were not just an accident, it seems that someone had set them up. Moini said that he was indeed the target. He apologized to Zuo Fan because he just felt sorry for him. Zuo Fan thought that maybe this is a fight within a Starfall family. Since the world has had Starfall warriors, there have been families that have formed a large number of Starfall warriors known today as Starfall families. The most law-abiding Starfall families are the same as what is happening in the world today. The strong live and the weak die. If there is a member who wants to rise to a Starfall family, they must complete their family's monster hunting mission and face enemies that others have come from their own family. Moini asked Zuo Fan if he knew of any other way out. It's better if the way it gives is not too obvious. Zuo Fan replied that he would think about it first. He closed his eyes and concentrated properly. He felt and remembered where else they could go without noticing other people targeting them. Zuo Fan opened his eyes when he thought of their exit. He gasped as they ran towards the path he remembered. The road that Zuo Fan remembered was the subway entrance that their party passed through when they got there. Even though there was a barrier there, when he investigated, he said he saw that there were small openings, and those holes were actually his view of the underground passage. Moini smiled when he realized that they could still get out of there. He thanked Zuo Fan and said he was lucky to have him at the party. When he heard from Moini, Zuo Fan had the courage to tell him what he wanted to say earlier. Although with doubts, Moini said that Zuo Fan should say it. Zuo Fan said tiredly, if they can run slowly, he can hardly breathe if they run fast. The two stopped running and Zuo Fan sat there to rest properly. While catching her breath, Zuo Fan said that there wasn't much air in the underground tunnel, so her breath would run out quickly. Moini said that he understood this, although he was embarrassed that Zuo Fan still sat down to take a quick rest. While they stopped on the road, Moini said that Zuo Fan was just a reserve, but he immediately joined an ear-rank mission. Moini also asked if Zuo Fan needed money to go on such a dangerous mission. After hearing Moini's question, Zuo Fan thought he really needed the money. He wouldn't go to a dangerous ear-rank monster just to die. He thought that there were only 2 years left before his father was finally sentenced to death. Before this happens, he has to find and know the truth. Zuo Fan remembered his peaceful life with his father and mother. He still remembers the conversation back then. He told his mother that when the monsters are gone he wants to go to the seaside where they first met. Zuo Fan's father Zugui replied that he would make sure that his wife's wish will happen. When he has killed all the monsters, he will accompany him to watch by the sea like they used to do. In Zuo Fan's memory, his mother died that same year. Others said that she died in a monster outbreak while she was saving someone else. When Zuo Fan was a child, he did not understand what was happening in the world. He said that he just saw that his mother's name was written as deceased. While holding his account, Zuo Fan thought how it would happen that his father who lost his loved one would ignore a monster outbreak and just run away alone. Perhaps there is a hidden story in these events. Moini waited for Zuo Fan to answer him, but he noticed that he was silent and that he was thinking deeply. Moini apologized, saying he shouldn't have asked such a personal question. Zuo Fan was still sitting quietly, until he stood up and said that he thought he had rested well. He also said they can continue. Moini started removing blocking stones from the abandoned subway entrance until they had removed the blocking stones and were slowly coming out of the way they opened. As soon as the two came out, Moini suddenly felt something. A lot of arrows were heading to where they were standing. Moini immediately moved and pushed Zuo Fan to prevent them from being hit by the falling arrows. The two were able to leave their previous position and avoided the many arrows that were used to attack them. The arrows continued to be shot in their direction, until Moini suddenly started shaking his head. Zuo Fan was immediately worried about what happened. Zuo Fan sniffed and saw that Moini had been hit by an arrow in his back. When looking closely at the arrow, he realized that it was poison. After this, Zuo Fan grabbed the arrow that hit Moini's back, saying that he needed to remove it so that they could treat the poison he had received. When Zuo Fan removed the arrow, he helped Moini lean against a wall. Zuo Fan said not to worry because he had an antidote with him. He told Moini to eat it quickly. After Moini swallowed the antidote, he looked up and said he didn't think that this was the person who would try him. The person Moini was referring to stepped forward. It was his uncle Manhwa, along with the arrogant Mose and the others who had been with them on the mission. Manhwa laughed and said that he didn't think they would survive the number of arrows they rained down on them. While looking up, Zuo Fan thought from the beginning that their monster-clearing mission was one of Moini's traps. Moini asked why Manhwa betrayed them when his father saved his entire family and also married his third aunt. Manhwa replied that people will do anything to get the wealth they desire. It is said that in today's world, he is willing to cheat as long as it benefits him. Manhwa said that their conversation was up to this point. While holding the time bomb switch, Manhwa said that he knows the power that Moini has. He wouldn't give her the chance to waste any more time. He immediately pressed the time bomb switch, causing a huge and massive explosion. All the ways Zuo Fan and Moini could escape were blown up by the traitor Manhwa. Manhwa asked Mushi if he brought monsters near the river. Mushi replied that he should not worry. He is sure that these two will die. While laughing and watching the continuous sapping, Manhwa said that they were going to reveal that Zuo Fan, the son of a traitor, secretly attacked the Mo family's prodigy, Moini. Who wouldn't believe such a story? All the monsters nearby moved towards the place where the massive explosion was coming from. Zuo Fan walked inside the tunnel again while he supported the wounded Moini. It was a good thing they got inside right away. Before the big explosion reached them, they realized they had a problem. They were in front of so many monsters again. When the fish lizard approached, Moini asked Zuo Fan if he could smell something. Moini was surprised to notice that the poison that hit him included a fish lizard lore. When Zuo Fan saw that Moini's hand was dripping black, she said that it really looked like Manhwa's plan to kill Moini. Moini said that they did not just plan to kill him. They also want to blame Zuo Fan for his death. Zuo Fan was stunned as he thought that he would be made a scapegoat when Moini died there. When that happens, the family's anger would probably turn to his father. He said that his father's sentence might be too light, death. Zuo Fan froze in anger as he thought about what could happen to his father. He needed to survive in this place. A fish lizard came in front of the two, and it immediately attacked them with its long tongue. Zuo Fan was going to help Moini avoid it, but Moini suddenly moved, supporting himself, and split the tongue of the attacking fish lizard. He told Zuo Fan not to worry because he could still fight. When he saw that Moini was still fine, Zuo Fan closed his eyes and thought about what else they could do. Zuo Fan wondered where they were and remembered where else they could go. After thinking, Zuo Fan informed Moini that he had an idea for a way out. While they were running away from the many monsters, Zuo Fan said he had already looked at it earlier, and even though it was closed, it had many openings. They just needed to remove all the stones piled up in their path. While running, Moini killed monsters that got close to them. Moini asked how far it was supposed to be. Zuo Fan replied that it was 3 intersections away. Zuo Fan noticed that the laced blood on Moini's hand was turning black. If he continued to fight, the antidote he drank would lose its effectiveness. He felt disgusted with himself because there was nothing he could do against the monsters chasing them. The two quickly reached the place Zuo Fan was talking about. They could see a small opening in the wall. Zuo Fan was happy and said that there was indeed a wind from the hole, so they could escape because he was sure it led outside. Moyni said nervously that it looked like they wouldn't be able to escape easily. When Zuo Fan turned to the place where Moyni was looking, he was also suddenly nervous and stunned. All the way they could run was already surrounded by so many monsters. They could no longer avoid the fish lizards because they were cornered. Moyni prepared his sword and told Zuo Fan that he was going to block the monsters so Zuo Fan could run away. Zuo Fan wondered what Moyni was saying. Moyni said that all this happened because of him. He wouldn't be able to escape properly because the fish lizards were attracted to the smell mixed with the poison in his body. Zuo Fan said not to hesitate any longer. Escape was the best they could do. Moyni left his position and rushed at the many fish lizards. Zuo Fan didn't know what to do now, until he ran, moving away from Moyni who was fighting. When he reached the side wall, he immediately climbed closer to the small openings. He said, move those blocking him so he could find a way to escape with Moyni. Zuo Fan hastened to remove the huge stones blocking their path. By relentlessly pushing and pulling through these blocks, Zuo Fan created a hole that a human could pass through. He also put thick wires around the path of the hole he made. After making a hole and setting a trap, Zuo Fan called the still fighting Moyni. Moyni was surprised to see that Zuo Fan was still inside. He hurriedly ran to Zuo Fan, thinking that he hadn't left him. Moyni slipped under the thick wires attached to the wall. That way, he quickly got past the trap and escaped the monsters. Zuo Fan's trap prevented the pursuit of many fish lizards. Moyni took advantage of this to get up and continue running. With the number and strength of the monsters, the wires that Zuo Fan placed on the wall were gradually pulled out, until the trap that Zuo Fan made was removed and the wall it was placed on was destroyed. Zuo Fan said that the place is about to collapse so they should hurry out. As Zuo Fan said, the bottom of the tunnel did collapse because its foundation was destroyed by the force of the monsters. Being so tired, Zuo Fan held his knee. He happily told Moyni that they were able to get out. The two breathed deeply at the same time because of the exhaustion they felt in their bodies. Moyni thanked Zuo Fan for not leaving him. Moyni was about to add something, but was stopped when his sword sensed suddenly started working. Moyni immediately looked in the direction the sword pointed. Zuo Fan followed where Moyni was looking. There, they saw a lot of fish lizards coming towards them. Zuo Fan was nervous about the number of monsters in front of him. Moyni suddenly dropped his sword. Zuo Fan wondered as he saw Moyni's body falling. Moyni couldn't handle the extreme fatigue and poison in his body. Before losing consciousness, Moyni told Zuo Fan to run. Zuo Fan called Moyni, but he did not respond because he was unconscious. Zuo Fan looked at the sword that was at Moyni's side. While he was picking it up, he was thinking about where he was going to run. He supported the body of the unconscious Moyni. While holding Moyni's body and his sword in both hands, Zuo Fan thought that he had never been able to fight an ear-rank monster head-on. Zuo Fan couldn't leave Moyni unconscious, so he waited for the monsters to come. Starting with a fish lizard, Zuo Fan thought he would kill at least one monster before he died there. Zuo Fan waited for the onrushing fish lizard. He was able to cut off the head of this monster with the help of Moyni's sword. This time, the final attack worked again, life-grabbing fish lizards. Zuo Fan could no longer dodge and was hit in the chest by the monster's long tongue. While slowly getting weaker, Zuo Fan thought of asking her father for forgiveness. It seemed that he wouldn't be able to come back to clean the jaw. When Zuo Fan fell, he thought that he didn't want to die like this. If only he had been strong.
At the same time Zuo Fan was taking his last breath, he attacked his fish lizard. Zuo Fan's necklace lit up, followed by a notification that the total killed by this ear-rank monster fish lizard reached 3. It was said that it had completed saving energy during the day. Upon lifting Zuo Fan's necklace, the notification came that the War God system had been activated. The unconscious Zuo Fan's body rose up and his stats suddenly began to move.
Zuo Fan's thoughts stumbled upon a place that seems to have no boundaries. In the place that is constantly floating, his body wondered why it was happening. He wondered if it was close to when he was going to die. He received notification that Zuo Fan is being activated. His war god system all accumulated that energy. He said the 100 stat points would be returned to him. And because he is still unconscious, Zuo Fan said the system will put it in the stat points he received. Wrapped in light green, Zuo Fan received 100 points. His mind's agility increased by 30 points each, and his physique and strength increased by 20 points each. After hearing the notification, Zuo Fan got up, wondering what happened to him. When he touched his chest, he wondered why he didn't feel pain. Surprised, he saw that the hole left by the fish lizard's attack was gone. He wondered why it just suddenly got better. Even confused, Zuo Fan immediately observed his surroundings. He saw that the attention of all monsters was committed to the direction where Moanyi was lying. Zuo Fan immediately picked up the sword next to him when he saw that two monsters would attack him. Zuo Fan quickly avoided the start of the two fish lizards. While in the air, he wondered why he easily avoided the quick attack of two Aleems. Zuo Fan was happy while holding Moanyi's sword, which seemed to emit infinite power. According to the system appraisal, the sword he was holding was a common Starfall weapon sword with a weight of 20 kilograms. Zuo Fan thought he could master the Starfall sword and unleash its full power. But first, he needs to attack the monster first. Zuo Fan once again avoided the second attack by two fish lizards. He said he would kill these two monsters. Zuo Fan threw one of his knives with a thick string attached, penetrating the tongues of the monsters. Zuo Fan was a little happy to see that he equally hit the tongues of two fish lizards. Zuo Fan pulled the knife he threw. With the strength Zuo Fan now has, he could stretch the two big monsters at the same time. When the given strength was added with his sword, probably E-rank fish lizards were easily killed. Then suddenly the war god system appeared in front of him and told him to focus on the enemies because he is in the middle of this fight. Zuo Fan grinned, thinking that was right. He needed to fight the monsters around him first. The fish lizards felt fear after witnessing how quickly Zuo Fan killed two of their kind. Zuo Fan called the monsters closer. Zuo Fan was now confident, saying they were monsters who only knew how to run. Simultaneously, so many fish lizards rushed towards Zuo Fan. They didn't even run, Zuo Fan greeted them. It was easy for Zuo Fan to cut up the bodies of the monsters he was fighting. In the amount of monsters rushing past, some of them bit his arms. He didn't mind the bites because of his increased stats. Carefully, he quickly killed them with his sword. He had no plan to let even one monster live. While fighting, Zuo Fan was still amazed at his strength. He can kill all the monsters rushing at him. Zuo Fan promised himself he would not hide behind his party mates again. Zuo Fan thought he could now control his fate. Zuo Fan felt tired after fighting many monsters. While resting, Zuo Fan wondered at what he saw. His system screen came out in front of him, showing how much he had raised his stats. He looked at the unconscious Moanyi lying on the ground. Zuo Fan carried Moanyi, deciding which one was more important. Zuo Fan went back inside the tunnel. When the subway tunnel ran out, there were so many fish lizards. Zuo Fan's priority was to make a way to remove the poison from Moanyi's body. He said he still has a problem with the fish lizard poison in her body. Zuo Fan's face blushed when he intended to treat Moanyi. He swallowed hard and encouraged himself. While holding Moanyi, Zuo Fan apologized, saying it was for their safety to escape with their lives. He said he would forgive himself for what he had to do. Fish lizard poison contains a special smell that attracts fish lizards. Zuo Fan apologized again while covering Moanyi's wound, saying it stinks to put the potion on it. He said he was holding a skunk monster's dirt potion, which has a stench that many monsters avoid. This potion is also one reason Zuo Fan is still alive despite being a Starfall warrior reserve for so long. Zuo Fan applied the smelly potion on Moanyi's body and also removed her uncomfortable clothing, bandaging her wounds. Zuo Fan finished bandaging Moanyi's wounds and took a moment to catch his breath. He needed to stay alert. The threat from the fish lizards wasn't entirely gone. Zuo Fan thought that maybe today the group was still waiting outside with Mohanho, so they still couldn't be complacent. Before planning their next move, Zuo Fan thought it would be better to find out exactly what had happened to him. Zuo Fan groped his chest where his clothes used to be. Opposite? He was surprised to feel that the meteorite fragment wasn't there. He thought he had become a war god in the current system. Suddenly, a big screen appeared in his mind, displaying his face, his name, his status, his rank, and his 4 main stats. Below his stats, he noticed that he had 21 points that he could allocate to any stat. Zuo Fan realized that 100 total points had been added to his stats when his War God system activated. It had almost cured all his injuries. Zuo Fan wondered if he really was a novice Starfall warrior. His rapidly increasing stats felt like a cheat. He realized that he could use the power of Moyni's sword, which only intermediate Starfall warriors should be able to use. He suspected that this was due to his high mind stats. The mind stat was still a mystery, but perhaps he could use the power of Starfall equipment because his mind stat had reached 40 points. Zuo Fan received a message saying he had 20 unassigned stat points. He immediately thought of using them to increase his combat power. He tried to plead with the system screen in front of him to explain how to use the War God system. He waited but received no response. Zuo Fan became angry at the system, calling it irresponsible for not providing any hints on how to allocate his 21 stat points. He stopped complaining when he saw a change in the system. A plus sign appeared next to his stats. Zuo Fan wondered if he needed to control it with his mind. As he suspected, his strength stat had a plus sign next to it. He cautiously increased his strength by 2 points and prepared Moyni's sword to see the difference. He noticed the sword felt lighter. This was the result of adding 2 points to his strength. Zuo Fan was very happy because he finally understood how the War God system worked. It was overpowered. He decided to allocate his remaining points between his physic and strength stats, adding 10 points to each. In one part of the tunnel, a fish lizard was searching for food. It was drawn to a fragrant cloth with the smell of fish lizard blood that Zuo Fan had placed on a dead mouse. The large fish lizard eagerly approached the scent. Zuo Fan watched from above as the fish lizard took the bait. He threw a knife with a strong string attached to it towards the opposite wall. The knife hit the wall, causing a loud sound that attracted the monster's attention. When the fish lizard turned to look, it appeared behind it and attacked its head with his sword. With his enhanced stats, he quickly pierced the monster's thick skull. The fish lizard fell, and Zuo Fan realized he had killed an A-rank monster easily. Zuo Fan received a message saying he had earned 3 stat points for killing the fish lizard. He was shocked to realize that he would receive 3 stat points for each fish lizard he killed. With at least 50 remaining fish lizards in the tunnel, he calculated that he could earn 150 stat points in total. He thought that with these points, he might become an advanced Starfall warrior. The next rank after Starfall warrior was Starfall General, also known as Starfall Warlord. Zuo Fan wondered if his strength would ever be enough. He was determined to save his father from death. To do this, he needed to become stronger. He prepared for battle, wielding both a dagger and his Starfall sword. He began hunting monsters, dismembering their bodies along the way. Zuo Fan regretted that he could only carry small parts of the monsters, like claws and scales. Zuo Fan smiled as he thought about his next move. He scraped the wall of the underground tunnel with his Starfall sword, causing a loud noise that echoed far away. Little by little, fish lizards approached, drawn by the sound. Zuo Fan knew that fish lizards had stronger hearing compared to their sight. As 2 fish lizards approached, they immediately attacked with their long tongues. Zuo Fan quickly dodged their attacks and maneuvered between their bodies. He spun around and decapitated both fish lizards with his sword. Zuo Fan's eyes showed no fear as he fought. After killing the 2 fish lizards, he took a deep breath and smiled while separating their bodies. He had killed several fish lizards in one day. Initially, he had to kill stealthily, but now he could fight 2 fish lizards at the same time, thanks to Moyni's Starfall sword. His strength was now among the high ranks of intermediate Starfall warriors. What happened next was not what he expected. He thought he would receive 100 stat points. Zuo Fan earned 150 slot points when he killed 50 fish lizards, but after becoming one himself, he said he just got intermediate Starfall warrior points, 1 for each monster he killed. Zuo Fan felt annoyed and thought it was wrong that he did that. He wondered if he could get 3 slot points because the monsters he kills are of a high level. He had no problem escaping through the underground tunnel with Moyni. That is, unless he encountered high-ranked monsters. As Zuo Fan walked, he noticed water where he was stepping. Following the water source, he heard a strange sound. Hiding behind a wall, Zuo Fan was surprised by what he saw, a large monster with two heads, one resembling a crocodile and the other a fish lizard like those he had fought before. Zuo Fan now saw a mutated monster that had combined two types of creatures. Its combat power was very high, and its danger level had increased significantly. The monster, which Zuo Fan decided to call the two-headed monster gator, noticed three monsters near it. Using its long tongues, it attacked the nearby monsters, quickly wrapping them up. The three fish lizards were hit by the sharp tongues of the two-headed monster gator and were then devoured by the monster. Observing the quick death of the three fish lizards, Zuo Fan concluded that the strength of the two-headed monster gator was as strong as an advanced Starfall warrior. He decided it was best to retreat and formulate a plan. After Zuo Fan returned to where he had left Moanyi, he noticed that the smell of the fish lizard on her body had almost disappeared, though she was still unconscious. Zuo Fan wondered how he could fight the two-headed monster gator without help. The only way out was behind the monster gator, and the fort was said to be close to the exit. While tending to Moanyi's wounds, Zuo Fan considered the possibility of encountering their group. He became nervous when Moanyi woke up and saw him cleaning her wound. Moanyi quickly aimed a dagger at Zuo Fan's neck. Sweating, Zuo Fan tried to explain himself, but Moanyi hastily attacked him, misunderstanding his intentions. Embarrassed, Moanyi apologized, realizing that Zuo Fan had killed many fish lizards to save her and brought her unconscious body there. She remarked on how well Zuo Fan hid his strength. Zuo Fan kept his rapid growth a secret, attributing it to Moanyi's belief that he was the son of Zuhui, a former military commander. Moanyi was surprised to hear Zuhui's name, as many blamed him for the fall of the city of Sierra. Understanding the danger of drawing too much attention, Moanyi thought it wise for Zuo Fan to hide his strength. Moanyi apologized again, acknowledging that Zuo Fan had gotten involved in their family's fight. Zuo Fan suggested they focus on figuring out how to kill the two-headed monster gator and escape the tunnel. He also mentioned that he needed to return home quickly to resolve his family issues and clear his father's name. As Moanyi ate, she wondered what the two-headed monster gator looked like. They returned to where the monster resided. Hidden, they saw the enormous monster gator. Moanyi assessed that its danger level was higher than normal E-rank monsters. The creature had sharp hearing from the fish lizard, a long tongue for ranged attacks, and a powerful bite from the gator's head that could break steel. Moanyi doubted they could penetrate its defense, even with a Starfall sword, due to its thick scales and bark. Moreover, the weaknesses of fish lizards were not present in the monster gator. Moanyi told Zuo Fan that to injure the monster gator's thick skin, they needed to activate Starfall equipment to unleash the full power of the Starfalls. That's the recap. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe for more Venom recaps. See you in the next one.